have 6 sheep, 5 adult rabbits, and then 2 different litters of baby rabbits, 6 ducks, 10 chickens / 1 rooster, 2 cats, and 2 dogs. I used to be a therapist, and when you're a therapist, there's not a lot of actually seeing progress or doing things. There's not doing things with your hands. That's just not the sort of therapy. And so knitting and crocheting and really creating things was an outlet. The yarn needed to be real. I needed to be able to have something that wasn't going to contribute to the problems, the pollution of the world, the plastics of the world. I needed something that was going to be sustainable. I needed something that was going to be friendly to the environment, and that when I put it on my child or give it to my child, there's no harm that is going to be caused by giving this to a child. When you're done with a product, when you're done with a real Angora or a real wool product, you can literally set it in the ground in a compost pile, and it just turns right back into earth that then can grow plants that you can then feed to your sheep and your rabbits. And that was something that mattered to me. That was something that was important, because it's likely my children will outlive me, and what am I doing? What choices am I making that actually will impact the world that they're going to be? That's probably so much of my truth of it is, there's nothing like going to a store and touching yarn and it saying 100% acrylic, and knowing that those little fibers are going to come off in the air, they're going to come off in the water when you wash something, and they come off and they're never going to, they're not going to compost, it's not going to be okay wherever they land. And I did not want to be a part of that at all. You know, that matters, and that matters to me. And I think there's a lot of other people that it matters to as well, which is cool finding those people. When you think about yarn that is just in a store that you can go and you can buy in a typical big box store, often it's not dyed with something that is easy on the environment or that is not harmful to the environment. Often things are using chemicals, and the yarns are often not dyed locally, they're not dyed even domestically. Yarns can be dyed typically in countries that just don't have the same environmental protections in place, and so they end up with a lot of chemicals and a lot of issues with the yarn dye. I dye my yarn naturally with plants, so it's 100% natural plant. There's no synthetic dyes whatsoever. So it would be anything from, in the spring I can use dandelions or forsythia blossoms to new growth apple shoot bark from the apple trees, or crab apples or lilacs. There's a whole variety of things that I can use, and I do. If it's an Angora rabbit, it has to be able to have the wool taken off of it, because it can't take the wool off of itself. And so it needs to have a personality that's friendly, and I have to be able to hold it, I have to be able to manage this rabbit. And some rabbits they have too much fear, or there's just too much going on with aggression, and they're not easy to handle. And so I said, I need to work towards personality. Rabbits that actually are curious, and that they come to you and they want to know what's going on, and they can handle being shorn, and they don't mind it. There's only so much that a rabbit can produce, and it is quite a bit because they're shorn 3 to 4 times a year. However, to get more wool, a sheep is something that's going to be great to produce more wool. But again, it needed to be sheep that were friendly, and sheep that could be handled, sheep that produced good wool. And so I settled on fin sheep, which are actually the friendliest. They're the most dog-like of sheep that exist. We start anywhere from the Angora rabbits themselves, raw fiber, to yarns and finished products. So it is anything from a variety of different colors of Angora from the actual rabbit, hand-spun yarns, mill-spun yarns, naturally dyed yarns using plants, and hand-knit and hand-crocheted items that are all entirely from patterns that are just my design. What we do matters, and the choices we make matter. Not be a part of something good. Not be a part of something that is, there's zero at the end of the day. When you have your own Angora rabbit and you know where that, when you know where that has come from, that yarn has come from at the end of the day, and you know it's been dyed with a local plant that you can go just harvest, and then you create something with it like a hat. There's nothing that creates harm from that. There's nothing that leaves a negative. And that's pretty huge.